Time now for a look at some of the day's business news. Brian Quinn joining me on the set. Morning to you, Brian.
Hey, Will.
Brian, beginning with the United States, President Joe Biden unveiling the first federal budget proposal of his administration.
And what a budget it is, Will. A big one, $6 trillion for fiscal year 2022. That's the highest level of sustained federal spending since World War II. Along with that big spending would come big deficits. $1.8 trillion for the year. That would add to the U.S.'s current debt pile of $28 trillion. By 2024, debt as a share of the American economy would be at its highest level ever. Well, those deficits would come despite more than $3 trillion in planned tax increases over the coming decade on corporate profits, capital gains, and the incomes of top earners. Biden's budget proposal takes into account his massive infrastructure and jobs plan, currently tagged at $2.3 trillion, along with his $1.8 trillion plan to significantly expand America's social safety net. Recent rises in U.S. consumer prices, coupled with an ongoing labor shortage, have led many Republicans to argue that the U.S. is spending too much already at the risk of overheating the economy. Biden pushed back on that as he visited a manufacturing college in Ohio Thursday. Take a listen.
You can't reboot a global economy like flipping on a light switch. There's going to be ups and downs in jobs and economic reports. There's going to be supply chain issues, price distortions on the way back to a stable and steady growth. In the coming weeks, my administration will take steps to combat these supply pressures, starting with the construction materials and transportation bottlenecks and building off the work we're doing on computer chips.
Now, here in France, the economy appears to be picking up speed again as the country reopens after the most recent coronavirus lockdown.
You can see it out on the streets of Paris, with people rushing back to shops, cinemas, restaurants, and bar terraces. Personal consumption rising sharply, along with the spirits and hopes of entrepreneurs and manufacturers. That is especially good news, as the latest data shows French household consumption contracted by 8.3% in April amid the lockdown. Emerald Maxwell and our colleagues at France Télévisions report.
With lockdown lifted, shopping is back. And many businesses are working around the clock to satisfy the increased demand. France's economic engine is turning again. Orders began picking up a month ago for this plastic manufacturer.
We definitely have more work since lockdown finished. For example, museums have reopened, so we have quite a lot of orders from them.
The company boss says orders are back to pre-pandemic levels.
Lately, we can see that everything is picking up again. All the investments that should have been made last year were put off. So now companies are catching back up and putting in orders.
With confidence back, the company has hired 2 more workers and ordered a brand new machine.
We bought this machine so that we could accept more orders.
Businesses are more upbeat than they've been since July last year. France is on track to hit 5 or 6% growth in 2021, driven by consumer spending. This toy shop has been doing roaring trade since reopening last week. Business is up 35% compared to last year.
It's great to be able to go shopping again as a family. It's more fun for my son too than just ordering off the internet.
To help shops continue their recovery after weeks of closure, the government says it will push back the summer sales, allowing retailers to clear their stock without discounts.
And it's the last day of the trading week. Brian, how are markets looking?
Well, European index is slightly higher at the open as investors take encouragement from falling unemployment figures in the U.S. amid an ongoing global recovery. Well, that new French data that we mentioned, though, also shows that the overall economy did contract by 0.1% in the first quarter of 2021. That not enough to keep the CAC 40 here in Paris from gaining a bit of ground at the open. The DAX in Frankfurt right there along with it, with London's FTSE 100 slightly behind. Asian indexes mostly gaining ground as well. The Nikkei in Tokyo closing up over 2%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng up slightly there amid the market debut of Chinese e-commerce delivery firm JD Logistics. Shanghai in the red, the Kospi in Seoul up around 0.75% at the close.
And back here in France, business owners may be optimistic, but farmers are fed up with the country's business-as-usual approach to Europe's common agricultural policy.
Well, members of a French farmers union blocked off the main office of the country's unemployment benefits service Thursday. Their goal, an eventual audience with President Macron to demand that the EU's common agricultural policy in France focus more on jobs and environmental concerns. Well, the cap is the European Union's single biggest budget item, nearly 58 billion euros in 2019, most of that going towards income support to the bloc's farmers. Critics say the current distribution model favors huge industrial operations at the expense of small and organic farms, and that the result is lost jobs.
Our criticism of the common agricultural policy is that it's a vast plan for laying off farmers. In 30 years, we have lost 2/3 of our farmers. We have gone from 1,200,000 to 400,000 today, and we continue to lose between 9 and 15,000 farmers a year.
And finally, for business, many people might want to celebrate the end of lockdown with a big party like Brian, but they won't be able to do it on Airbnb.
Ooh, well, it's true that Airbnb has extended a worldwide ban on house parties through the end of summer. Total occupancy in an Airbnb remaining limited to 16 people, with the event-friendly tag for listings on its site removed. Guests under the age of 25 in the US, Canada, France, and the UK banned from renting entire houses in the area where they live. With travel gradually returning, CEO Brian Chesky says Airbnb wants to be, quote, a good community player. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the company says the no party policy has also proven popular with its hosts. Can't imagine why.
I think Brian will have to
Clean
wait.
up after that.
Take your parties elsewhere, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, well,